Hello friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Amrit Purandare, and in this video series we are going to talk about the solid principles. So let's get started with the agenda for this complete series. So the main agenda for this series will be we will first see what is mean by solid. Then we will go ahead and see why to use the solid principles, and then we will have a deep dive into the 5 solid principles one at a time. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to break this entire series, entire discussion into 5 parts. So the first part will be focusing on what is mean by solid, why do you solid principle, and we will also see the first solid principles, that is single responsibility principle. And then I'm going to create more videos for the rest of the solid principles. So let's get started. So the first thing which we are going to see is mean by what is solid and what is the acronym for the solid. So as we know, the solid, it means a foundation of a structure, and if we relate it to the software world, it will be the foundation of your applications, whether it is a desktop application or web application or mobile based application. This will be a foundation of your structure. So basically, solid, it's an acronym that represent 5 principles of object oriented programming and code design. And to clear your doubts, these are definitely not the object oriented programming concept. Those are the different things, and the solid principles are completely different one. Okay, so now let's go ahead and check the acronyms of the 5 principles one at a time. So the first thing, that S, it stands for the single responsibility principle. S stands for single responsibility principle. The O from the solid stands for open and close principle. O stands for open and close principle. L stands for Liskov's substitution principle. The I from the solid stands for the interface segregation principle. And the last one, that is D from the solid, stands for dependency inversion principle. So now we have the clear picture of the acronym of a solid. We have seen it. Okay, so now let's go ahead and see why we should use the solid principle. What is the need to use the solid principle? We are already doing our development work in a day-to-day basis. Then why should we use them? So the friends, there are many advantage if we use the solid principle. So let's go ahead and check the advantage one at a time. So the first advantage is it's gonna reduce your code complexity. The second advantage which we will get with the help of solid principle is it will reduce the coupling between classes. So as per the software engineering practices, our classes should have the loose coupling between them. So if we use the solid principle, we are definitely going to achieve this one. The third advantage is it will separate out the responsibility of the classes, resulting in loose coupling and the less code complexity. The fourth advantage, it will define a well structure between your classes. The fifth advantage, if we follow the solid principle, it will definitely reduce your effort in development or the creating the architecture of your applications. And if it is reducing your efforts in development or architecture, it will definitely gonna reduce your cost of the software itself. So in order, if we use the solid principle, it will definitely, our code will become easy to change, test, manage, read, scale, etc. Okay, so due to all of these things, we should be using the solid principles. So I hope the picture is clear, or the advantage of the solid principles are clear in your mind. So now let's go ahead and start our discussion with the very first principle, that is single responsibility principle. Why should we use it, and what will be the advantage of this principle? So the I'm going to follow one pattern to discuss on all the 5 principles. So first of all, we will see what do we mean by the principle. Then we will take an example, we will have some code for it, we will see what are the problems with that code, and we will then try to resolve them using the a principle under development, that is for example single responsibility principle. So let's go ahead and now have a discussion on the single responsibility principle, which is the first principle out of the five. So the first principle, single responsibility principle, it says a class should have one and only one reason to change. Okay, so this is the emphasis of this principle. Our classes which we are designing, they should have only one reason to change. And the responsibility word from the single responsibility principle states that it should have only one responsibility, and if and only that responsibility is changing, then only our code block should change. It should not be dependent on other responsibilities or the other code blocks for the changes to be happen in that portion of the code. So now let's go ahead and see a example wherein we are breaking this principle. So for example, let's go ahead and check the employee class. So every employee class has some attributes defined for it, like employee ID, name, address, date of joining, etc. Now my requirement is like I want to check whether my employee is eligible for the promotion during this year or not. Also I want to know the final income tax for that employee. So I have designed class something like this. I have added the attributes and I have provided two functions wherein I will be able to check whether that promotion for that employee is due in this year or not. And also I have the utility function to calculate the income tax logic. So this code will definitely gonna work, but if we check, if we go ahead and check the responsibility of this class, so I can see there are three responsibilities associated with this class. First one, that its default responsibility is handling the core attributes of the employees, that is employee ID, name, address, and date of joining. The other thing, the other two responsibilities are, first one is it's checking whether the promotion is due in this year or not, and the other responsibility is also the income tax calculation. So in a nutshell, there are three responsibilities associated with this class, and which is violating our single responsibility principle. So ideally, the calculation of income tax, it should not be the responsibility of employee itself. It is the responsibility of a financial department. Also the promotion handling, it's not a responsibility of an employee, it's a responsibility of a HR of the company. And whenever the HR policies are going to be changed, this logic will also be changed. And also similar case will be with the financial uh, calculation. So whenever the income tax rules are going to be changed, the logic to calculate the income tax for employee will be changed. So ideally these two functions will not be the part of this class, and those should be the separate entities itself. So let's go ahead now and check how to fix this one. So single responsibility principle says a class should have only one reason to change. So how we are going to fix this? We are going to break the responsibilities into a number of classes. So for example, we will create an employee class. It will only have the responsibilities related to the employee itself. So it, as of now, I am keeping it only for the attributes purpose. The next thing, we need to check the promotion of the employee. So we are going to create one more class wherein we will calculate, we will apply some checks, and we will see whether that employee's promotion is due in this year or not. And the same class will be the for financial calculation. We will create one more class wherein the income tax of the employee will be calculated. So if we see now, we have divided our one class into the three things, three classes, three entities we can say, and all the entities are doing their own work. They have the only one responsibility, and they don't have to worry about the changes in other classes. So in a diagrammatic way, if we see, the left hand side is our old design, and we are breaking it into three classes, and the classes will communicate with each other by using the objects, that is the traditional object oriented programming way. So this way we are fixing our issues with the old design, and if we use this one, this will be a better way to do our programming. So I hope I'm you guys are clear with this single responsibility principles. Now let's go ahead and check the advantages that we are getting if we follow the single responsibility principle. So first and very important, if we follow the single responsibility principle, we are clearly defining the boundaries for the functionalities. So that's the very big achievements. So whenever code in one block is changing, it will not affect the code in other block, which is also which also gives us the second advantage, that is separation of concern. Easy maintenance of the code is definitely a big achievement here as well. And as per the object oriented programming, we should have the information hiding implemented in our code, and that is also we are achieving with the single responsibility principle itself. So these are all the advantages of this principle. So that's it for this video. I'm going to create four more videos for the all for the other four principles. Thank you very much. If you guys have any comments, please do let me know. I will try to accommodate those things into my next videos. If you guys have any questions, you can post it. I will try my best to answer them. Thank you.